Y'all, what up, what up? It's Jay, back again, ranting while driving to work. My day's just began. I don't know where you are at in your day. I hope it's, going well. Or if it's just beginning, I hope it's going as well as mine has. Anyways, today is a little story time. Not much of a rant, but story time. The WSoP is just right around the corner. Getting ready to start soon. That's the World Series of Poker. It's been going on for quite a while. I want to say since the early 70s, I believe. Where, all the good poker players came in and they played some tournaments, and the main event, as it is, that you might have seen on television, a 10,000 United States dollar buy-in, no limit Hold'em poker event. The first winner, was nominated by his peers to win, actually, yeah. I believe that winner was Johnny Moss. Anyways, this is not a story about Johnny Moss, but it's about kind of my journey into poker. Started when with some friends playing some home games, and this was I want to say 2003. Varconi won that year, I believe it, and that's kind of when we picked it up. And then turned 21. Moneymaker won 04. And, each month would go down and play some 2-4 limit or some 3-6 limit at the local club, or I would go around to places. I would go to Reno a lot. And then I realized, I was like, man, sometimes I win. The first time I won, it took me 3 tries. So I lost $300. Each time I sit down with $100, I lost $300. Or maybe I lost $200. And the third time I won, so I lost $200. The third time I finally won, and I was like, oh man, I've been studying. I was reading books, and not too much with forums, but I thought I was studying well. And maybe looking back on it, or maybe not. But for the time, I don't know. In 2003, 2004, people were actually studying. I don't know if that was even possible then. So, anyways, I was like, okay, cool, sure. My friends were like, oh, you're just wasting your money. I can't believe you, and you're so bad, and why are you doing this? I'm like, no, I think I've got this, and it's money I can afford to lose. They're like, oh, you've got a problem. I'm like, my only problem is when I lose. I'm fine. Rim shot. Ding, ding. And the third time's a charm. I won $15. Walked away with $115 in a shorter session. It was in Vegas, and I was at the now defunct, exploded Sahara. Is where I won my first time winning. I had pocket tens. I had pocket tens from the blinds, I believe it was. And I won. That was the hand I won. That really made me, I won like $50 or $60 that hand, and put me up just a little bit over, and then I was on a curfew that night, and there we go. So I was like, though, who wins every night? The dealers. The dealers win every night. I mean, they're making about $1 a hand. Sometimes more, sometimes I get nothing, but for all intents and purposes, $1 a hand. It's like, oh wow, cool. I could put out 20 hands a half hour, 40 hands an hour. It's $40 plus minimum wage, or whatever that is. It's like, that's really, really, really good money. And I would take that money now, to be honest. $40 plus minimum wage, $8, $48 an hour. It's rolling. But no, alas, I'm not doing that now. But so I started looking around, and I was like, oh, I want to how to become a poker dealer. I want to have how to do this. I'm asking other dealers where they go. They went to school, or they were chip runners first, or they worked in the cage first. A chip runner is, you're at the table and you go, chips, and they run with chips to you, and you give them cash, and they give you chips in exchange. Literally a chip runner, one who runs with chips. They worked their way up from these smaller positions, working in the cashier's cage and so forth and so on. And I was like, man, I don't want to be doing that. I want to jump in there now. I'm 21. This is what I want. And I'm looking around, and like $2,000 for classes. And sometimes that included blackjack too. And then there was like $1,500, $1,800, $1,200, $1,500, $1,800, And I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't have that kind of money to learn something. I'm in loans up to my ears already for school. Like, what am I supposed to do? I gotta find a job here pretty soon too. And so what turns out is I'm online once again, just kind of rummaging through, just looking through the forums, looking for ads, and then I see it, $250 special. I was like, or it's $250 special. I was like, what? Where's this at? Sacramento. Well, that's only 2 hours away from me. I'm in San Jose. I call up, give them a credit card, book it. Done. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is awesome. I was like, okay. Like, I gotta tell people. Like, I know one of my buddies, Mark. He was like, he's looking for work. He was just slumming around his girlfriends, and I was like, this dude, he wants to play poker. He needs a job. I think he can scrounge around it. I call him up. I say, hey, dude, you gotta do this. I might have maybe even messaged him on AOL Instant Messenger, and boom, he did it. I was like, okay, cool. He was like, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to get there? I'm 2 hours away. You're 2 hours away. Different areas. Like, we can't carpool. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. Like, the first class is this day. Let's just do it. Let's go there, and we'll figure it out from there. So we go to the first class. It's like a full day. It's 6-8 hour day, whatever. With all the driving. It was longer, of course. It was great. Find out later that I've got a friend from high school, and she wasn't living in her apartment. She lived in Sacramento. I was like, hey, can I sublease your place for like 2 weeks? Like, it was me and my buddy, you know him. Well, we're not going to do anything stupid. You know us. So she gives a great deal. We split the cost on the sublet for 2 weeks. We were in Sacramento during the summertime when school was out. And we went to this place where they were like opening and closing for 2 weeks. Monday through Saturday, the whole entire, boom, 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 take you a bunch of hours. You need to get hours in before you could take a quote-unquote test, and then they'd give you a certificate. In other words, like, they pretty much literally just print it out on, like, certificate paper and, like, stamped it or something. And we're like, oh, right, we finally did it, we're not licensed, but we're, like, accredited, if you will. We got these certificates. And then it turns out that you really don't need a certificate to become a dealer. You just have to pass what's called an audition. An audition is you would go down, much like an audition for, like a movie star or something, right? You're an actor, you're a singer, or you're a dancer, you're performing artist. You audition in front of the judges. In this case, a manager, the hiring manager, or something like that. And they would have like a mock table with chips set up and other people auditioning, and you'd be dealing to them, and you'd be running the game, and you going through different variations of poker that you would know, and different rules that would happen. They would set stuff up, and they would change things around, and they would make things happen to see how well you can adjust to things, and how you can count down the pot, and how you can split it up, and side pot kind of stuff. Just all these difficult things, and of course I failed the first time. I was at a local place in San Jose. And, I was nervous. I graduated, quote, graduated a few months before. I think I graduated sometime in June of 2004. And, so this must have been a couple months later, so you're looking for work, and just, they're not hiring, or no, we're hiring, but we don't want to hire someone who has no experience, because essentially that place is taking the burden on of training. And I can only assume this is how the restaurant industry is, the bartending industry, where, hey, I went to bartending school, I can bartend, but I have no experience. They need to train you more on the job, right? There's other things. And then a couple months later, now we're approaching, school's already started, it's Labor Day-ish, and I'm looking again, I'm like, okay, well, let's see if anyone's hiring, and I see somebody, and it's like 45 minutes away in Livermore, and it's a small little place, and I get there, and get this, I come a day late. I talked to the owner on the phone. I set the interview up, and I'm like, I come the wrong day, and he's like, you came here on the wrong day. I'm like, what do you mean? You said this time today. He's like, no, I said yesterday. And I was like, I'm an idiot. You know, it's like, this is, I was like, what? I'm like, I'm sorry. Can I reschedule now? Like, this is awkward. Who's going to hire me now? This is ridiculous. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go. He's like, you're here. The game is really slow. I'll throw you into a live game. I was like, what? A live game with, like, actual real money? I don't want to mess up. Because when you're a dealer and you mess up, you're risking people's money. It's not like you're playing, you know, you're a referee at, like, a high school game and you make a missed call. It's whatever. It's a high school game. But this is real money on the table, you know. Yeah, it's not a lot of money. You know, they're playing for $50 pots, $150 pots. That's a lot of money, $150 pots. Are you kidding me? $50 pots? So I'm kind of freaked out. And it's a small room. There's one table. There's really, like, no one in the room. There was older gentlemen, and they played through a couple games, and I'm there. I play for 4 or 5 hands, and I make my way through it. And, you know, there's definitely some mistakes I make, and the speed of the game is a little, you know, is faster than I thought, and I was a little slow, and somehow I got a job. They said, okay, cool, you know, good enough. They took a chance on me. I was really bad then. I was joking with some guys a couple years after that. I was like, oh, Jay, remember how bad you were? Oh, man, you're the whore. We're still in the whole wide world. Oh, my goodness. And just ribbing on me really bad. But I was bad. But through training and hard work and through practice, I got to be one of the best dealers in the club. Out of, like, 25 dealers, I was, like, you know, top 10%. You know, it's like the third best dealer, second best dealer, something like that. Kind of depending on who you would ask. But they would, most of the time, you know, the guys would want me on the table. I would control the game. There's a lot of things that go along into it. You know the game, the flow, whose turn is it, when to split pots, when to move action. You know, you need to understand rules and regulations. You can keep your focus. You know, you can't just chit chat. It's a high focus job. I took it seriously. But then I had an opportunity in 2009 to deal the World Series of Poker. Yes, I am a World Series of Poker dealer. Oh my goodness, that was phenomenal. I was with a buddy of mine, Dutch, and he got me into it. This was like his second year, and we're gonna stay at a friend's house, and for a little cheap rent, we're a little sublet a room kind of thing. And I was like, sweet. We're gonna go, and we're gonna essentially what we did was for the full summer is we worked, you know, 4 days a week or whatever it was, 5 days a week. We played, we went home, we changed, we ate dinner, we played for another 4, 5, 6 hours, and did the same thing the whole entire summer. It was pretty good. With everything all said and done, I mean, I don't think I lost money. You know, if I did, it was like maybe like a month's worth of rent or something. I mean, so that wasn't bad. Before I went in 2009, the dealers would only work the World Series of Poker and make their whole entire year's salary in those, like, you know, those 2 or 3 months of dealing. This was in the 90s and the early 2000s, and each year in the 2000s they got worse and worse, and Caesars Entertainment, which is Harris Casinos and stuff, bought out the World Series of Poker from Binion. And when they did that, things really changed more and more and more. And I got into it in a year where, you know, a lot of the old guys were complaining, and they were having to get full-time jobs. And I mean, when you're thinking you can make $30,000 to $50,000 in 3 months, I mean, you know, these guys were stoked, and some of the good guys were working extra jobs in other places and doing double shifts, and, you know, could pull like $70,000 in like 3 months and then be done and not have to work at all. And they were doing this for years. And one guy I talked to did it for a decade. And then now he's like, yep, now I got to work, you know, a full job. I'm working overtime, and, you know, and he's working the whole entire year and making, you know, about the same, if not a little less. So times changed, and I got into it, I guess, at the wrong spot, but still, I made it to the World Series. Then I have a ton of dealers there. This thing is huge, right at the Rio. All suites and casino. And they pick up guys straight out of dealing school, and they get anybody they want. I mean, if you want to go down there and you've got like zero experience, I mean, you probably can make it. I mean, I don't know how long you'll make it there, but they'll hire you. They just need bodies. They need people throwing cards at people all hours of the day, 24 hours a day, cash games, tournaments, sit and goes, small tournaments, big tournaments, everything in between. They need people. But I was a good dealer. I wasn't the best by any stretch of imagination. I wasn't the worst. I was a better than average dealer. I was very happy with where I came, how far I got. I was able to deal final table. Heads up final table is, they consider that the last 4 people. And I dealt one of those events. It was awesome. And I had a good time with that. It was a lot of fun. And then, dealt to some good people. Didn't deal to Phil Ivey. Didn't deal to Daniel Negreanu. Josh Aria, Doyle Brunson a couple times, which is kind of nerve-wracking, actually. Like with Elliot Lesra. I dealt to, what's his name? Kenna James, I believe? Cowboy hat? That sounds right. If that's him, super, super nice guy. Just unbelievably just nice. World Series of Poker champion. What's his name? From Australia, Joe Hachem. Very, very talkative at one of his tables. It was really cool. And I don't say much. It's called dummy up and deal. You're a robot. You're throwing cards at people. You're making sure the game's running. They don't want to hear you talk. You don't need to chime in. You don't need to say any kind of things about these things. You're just a third party whose only interest is the house interest. Right? In a cash game, the house makes money by taking a percentage of every pot. Either a set amount based on the players or a percentage up to 10% of the pot, or up to $5 or up to $8 or whatever. You'll hear some stories of some older games, and some private games that the dealers were just told to take as much as they possibly can take. And these, you have to give free drinks and free food, and the dealers were just instructed to take as much as they possibly could. And the pot could be $230, and the guy could, the dealer could took off $30 out of it or something. And something's just, those are just bad games. Joe Hachem was just having fun. It was early levels, there's no stress kind of thing, and just talking and stuff. And he goes in his Australian accent, which I'm not going to imitate, because I traveled around the world, I've been around these places, I can pick up a lot of different accents and where people are at. And some guys, okay, Joe, come on, tell me where am I from? And he tells me where he's from. Okay, what about me, Joe? You're from over here. And he tells me, the third guy goes, yeah, Joe, where am I from? He tells you, he hems and haws. He goes, this is where you're from. And the table's erupting and high-fiving and laughing, and then I'm getting pushed out. And push means that a dealer is tapping me on the shoulder, and I go to the next table. If you think of it, it's literally, poker's a literal thing, is literally he's pushing me to the next table. Okay? So I'm getting pushed, and you usually stay at one table for 30 minutes. 30 minutes and you move, 30 minutes and you move, 30 minutes and you move. And this is because some people will blame dealers, and dealers get berated, and I've gotten thrown cards at, and I've got yelled at, and I've got cussed at, and I approach it a little differently. I've got long arms, and some guys would be like, oh, and they muck their hands. Mucking is folding. They fold their hand in disgust because they lost, or they can't believe their hand didn't win, and so they don't throw it to you where you can reach it. They just kind of lay it out in front of them, but they're done with the hand, and I just reach over the table, and I grab the cards and move on, and I say, hey, yeah, if you could just put your cards out a little closer, that'd be helpful, but if you don't, I understand, I can tie your shoes from here, is what I would say to them. Meaning that I don't care, I can reach them, and then I would show them that I could do it, not literally tie their shoes, but I can reach their cards, and then their little game to get me would backfire. The table would laugh, they'd make them look like an idiot. And social pressure is a very, very big thing in poker. So then they don't want that to happen again. And so this guy he should have made a left-hand turn, but he waited for me for some reason. Anyways. So social pressure is a huge thing in poker. And so I'd just make fun of them. They would chunk their cards at me as hard as they could to hopefully go off the table. If it goes off the table, then you need a new deck. You got to call a floor person. It's a big thing. But then I'm right-handed, so I hold the deck in my left hand and I pitch. And that's throwing the cards with hold with my left hand and pitch with my right hand. I'm right-handed. So then they would throw it, and if it goes on my left-hand side, I would block it. I'd go stick save. If it go on the right hand, I'd go glove save, like a goalie, like ice hockey, right? I got a stick, so I got my deck in my hand, and I got my glove, I got my paw in the other. And again, they would just laugh. The other guys would laugh, and they'd get frustrated. And I mean, not one card ever fell. I've always blocked it, always stopped it. And my responsibility is to maintain the integrity of the game. And I would do so at all costs. So Joe Hachem. I go, Mr. Hachem. I go, sir. I go, I haven't spoken much, but you heard me say some things throughout the last 30 minutes before I get pushed out of here. Where am I from, sir? And he sits there, and he goes, huh, really? Interesting. He thinks about it for a little bit, and I stand up, get pushed, and he talks to me for a couple seconds, and he goes, accent, you know what? I can't place it, son. Where are you from? And I go, well, that's the thing. I've moved around a lot. California, Arizona, Nebraska. I've got some Midwestern. I got some Southern. I got some West Coast. I've got a bunch of different things like that. And so, I moved around. So I picked up things here and there. And he goes, it's really interesting. Thanks so much. I'll have to keep that in mind for next time. He's a great guy. Well, that was a lot of fun. But here's a mistake. Dealers make mistakes. We are human. We make mistakes. Only one person was perfect, and he died and rose again. Anyways, his name is Miami John Sanudo. Now, not a big name anymore, but an old school guy. I mean, dude's been playing poker since the 70s, for sure. 80s, 100%. So, but he's like a 30, 40-year-old player. Now he's old school, like super old school. He used to be, believe it or not, this dude used to be a name. Like, I recognize him. Like, oh my goodness, there's Miami John. I don't think Miami John is actually from Miami. It's this funny thing, you got like Minnesota Flower Slim, I think, or different guys have different names. Minnesota here, Michigan there, whatever. Maybe Detroit this, whatever, right? So, but this is Miami John. And it's great because his nickname is like before his name, right? They put in quotes before Miami, then John Sanudo. His name is John Sanudo. He was in one, ESPN used to do these little things about, and this was in 07, 08, and they used to have little things in between, to filler spots in between the poker matches and stuff. They would say, well, about time my players are taught, it's essentially it's reality television, but they try to pique interest, to try to build personalities and build interesting cases. So you want to watch. Like, why do you want to care about watching poker if you don't play poker? But if you care about the people, you might be invested in the people and want to watch. This was their angle. Miami John, I guess, had a lot of mental, emotional, was angry a lot kind of thing. And so he was taking this, he was over retreats, and he went to like Sedona in Arizona and just relaxed and just got in peace and meditated and did yoga and centered himself, and good for him. Until he's met Jay. Now we're playing a Raz event. Raz is a 7-card stud, but you want the worst hand. You don't want the best hand. You want the worst hand. And there's flushes and straights don't count against you. Straight is 5 cards in a row, and a flush is 5 cards of the same suit: hearts, diamonds, spades, or clubs. So Raz, those two don't count. You just want the worst one. So Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the worst hand possible. That's the hand you actually want to get, as close to that hand as possible. So if Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the best hand, a royal flush is the worst hand. Okay. So this is the game. It's a 7-card stud. You get 2 cards down. Everyone antes and 1 chip, whatever that is. And then you get 2 cards down, 1 card up, and the highest card brings in, means that they are forced to put money in the pot, and they're forced to put in like 3 chips. Okay? So you put in 1 chip, and then you're forced to put in 3 chips to simplify it. Okay. So, John Sanudo, Miami John. And I think the worst card, I can't remember, is the King of Spades, King of Clubs, I forget. The suits do matter in this game because you to break tiebreakers and stuff. Anyways, he got King. Boom, brings it in. Next hand. Boom, King. Brings it in. Again. Scramble the deck, dealer. Sir? Yes, sir. I'm already scrambling the deck, Miami John, for goodness sakes. And scrambling the deck is you have the cards laid out face down, and you scramble. They're called washing the deck, and you kind of mix them all around because maybe my shuffling, they don't think the shuffling is good. This is what dealers get all the time. And mathematically, it's proven a shuffle, and then you kind of riffle it, or you strip the deck, you kind of mix it up, and then you shuffle again, and then you cut the deck is sufficient enough to mix up, to randomize the cards. As long as the shuffling is good. My shuffling's fine. I'm good. I'm washing the deck, and then what happens? He brings it in again, and it's like the same king, like 2 out of the 3 times, and the guy's going ballistic. He's like, this is impossible, and he's freaking out. And come on, it's not impossible. It just happened, Miami John. All right, it just happened. Okay. Now it sucks because the odds of it happening are astronomical. I mean, seriously, you try. There's 8 people. You give everyone 2 cards down and 1 card up, and then you shuffle, and then you deal out a hand, and then you shuffle it, and you do that, and you try to give the same person the same up card 2 out of the 3 times. That's crazy. All right. Kind of goes through again. 3 hands. Goes another 2 or 3 hands go by, and he doesn't bring it in. So he's kind of calmed down, and then he gets another up. The same king pops up in his face. Boom. He's freaking out, right? He's freaking out. He's getting upset. He's throwing cards at me, and I'm not saying anything to him because I respect him as a man and as a poker player. And it's a World Series. There's more prestige. I'm not saying a word. Just do my job. And I make a mistake dealing, and I don't think Miami John was even in the hand. It was somebody else, and it was a bad mistake, and things happen. Whatever, I took it really hard, and I talked to Dutch afterwards. He's like, hey, man, Jay, why are you letting this bother you? He's like, just, dude, you always say just move on. Like, just, it happened, like, whatever, just move on, and you can't change it, so just focus on the next one. Thanks for the advice. That's the advice I've given other people. I take that advice in heart. Boom. And it really helped. Now, here's the thing about what happened. Little preface, Raz has killed people in the past. As rumors go, people have died. Old men have had heart attacks playing this game because it's so frustrating. Because, of course, people always think that they're getting really good cards. They're getting 3 of a kinds and 4 of a kinds and all these really good hands and full houses in the game. When they were trying to get really bad hands, no pairs, low cards. No pairs, low cards. That's the name. And so there's been stories of people saying, "Hey, this dude's died on the table playing Raz because you're so old, you have a heart attack, you freak out." The year before this, in 2008 and 2007, someone has been taken to the hospital in consecutive years playing Raz. One was out inside the tent the year before. It was in Las Vegas in a tent in a parking lot. They put these guys, and I think Doyle Brunson had to go to the hospital. The year before that was Eskimo Clark. I don't know his real name. He's literally this big dude, like 6'4", 6'6", somewhere around there, like 2-something. He's got a huge bushy black beard. Call him Eskimo Clark. Again, I love these guys with nicknames, Poker's full of nicknames. I guess it's Texas, it's what? Doyle, Texas, Dolly, Brunson, or whatever. Anyways. Not many have the first name guys, right? Like there's a guy named Dutch Boyd. Not my friend Dutch, but another Dutch Boyd. And his nickname's Dutch because Doyle Brunson missaid his name. And it stuck, and everyone just calls him Dutch. My friend Dutch is named Dutch because he won a drinking contest in Amsterdam. So we call him Dutch. So, now that 2 people have gone to the hospital in back-to-back years, will this happen a 3rd year? Yes, spoiler alert. I go to the next table, I get pushed to the next table, and it's awesome for me because I don't have to deal. It's a dead table, and I get paid for it. So I get half an hour to sit on my butt, and I get paid. So I mark the card that I'm there, and whatever. All of a sudden, there's something happening, there's a scuffle, and all of a sudden, John Sanudo. I see him. I'm watching it. Face down the felt. Oh gosh, I just killed John Sanudo. I killed Miami John. I caused his pain because he was the high card. Then I mess up and he goes ballistic and he wasn't even in the hand. He's called the floor over. He's irate. He's upset. The other two guys weren't as upset. The loser of the hand was a little upset that he lost the hand. He probably still would have lost the hand, believe it or not. But no, I made a bad mistake. Anyways, so he goes face down in the felt. I think I just caused Miami jump because this other dealer wasn't there for that long, 5 minutes, and he probably brought it in again, and he just flipping had a heart attack. I just killed him. I'm the one who caused this pain on a man and a family. I go home. I'm checking the forums. I'm making sure that the news outlets, all the different poker places, like, is he blaming? Is a dealer involved? Is my name in there somewhere? Is he alive? I'm checking the next day. I wake up in the morning. I check the news stuff again, and he's okay. He went to the hospital. Apparently, I see him carted off. I can remember very, very vividly. The paramedics carting him off, and I'm like, is he breathing? Is he alive? They're not walking that fast, so he must be alive. He can't be dead. They declare him dead, and they're just walking out slowly, freaking out, man. He's okay. Apparently, he wasn't taking his heart medications and decided to play Raz. What old man? Then he knows better. Take your heart meds and then play Raz. You don't skip the meds and then. So his blood pressure went up, and clearly, though, the year before when they were showing little highlights of him meditating and centering himself and doing yoga, he needs to work on that because, man, he was pissed off. I ruined people's lives is what I ended up happening. So yeah, I almost killed a man in poker, which was kind of interesting, right? If you think about it. Yeah, so 3 consecutive years, someone got carted off. Was part of that. I was the trifecta. I didn't follow it anything after that till now. I don't know if anyone else has done it, but there's always going to be stories of people passing out, dying, heart attacks, and Raz. It will always happen, and I'm proud to be part of that tradition. A great interesting story is I've dealt to Phil Hellmuth. Phil Hellmuth Jr. I think, and I will argue with the world's best no-limit hold'em poker tournament player. Now, I do have caveats to that now. I think the high-stakes game has gone a little bit ahead of him. And these guys are buying in for $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, $300,000, $1 million, once every 3 or 4 or 5 years. In those fields, I don't think he has quite the edge that he used to. They played the game a little differently than he does. He plays, but against an amateurish, recreational, semi-pro player, the World Series of Poker type player, he's phenomenal. He's absolutely, just bar none, I think, the best player in the room. When he sits down, he can win it all every time for no home. I mean, he's one of 2 Raz bracelets as well. I think he plays the Raz game very speculative and very fishy. But he's won 2 bracelets, so who am I to judge? But yeah, I think maybe he knows the math a little better than I do on Raz. He's won 2 bracelets, and he's Phil Hellmuth, so I'm going to give him the credit. Slightly, but I think there's some very speculative plays down the line. Anyways, that said, dealt him for 30 minutes. Now, Dutch was 30 minutes before me. I was actually following him. It was kind of fun all day. And then I pushed him. We talked about our experiences, the hour total time we had with Mr. Phil Hellmuth. And we talked about him for probably 2 or 3 hours. So our 1 hour turned into a 3-hour conversation about him. Just phenomenal. Now this guy, hate him, like him, love him, think he's an idiot. His nickname's a poker brat. He won the World Series main event in 1988, 89, one of those years. As a 21, 22, 23-year-old kid, and he's been in the industry the whole time, and I kind of knew he kind of came up in San Francisco. I've talked to some dealers who actually dealt to him when he was coming up and kind of the crap he used to do, and he still does. He rakes his own pot, which drives me nuts as a dealer, and as almost every dealer should drive you nuts. Raking your own pot means you reach into the center of the table and you grab the chips and you pull them into yours. All right? You're raking them like you're raking leaves, right? You're raking your own pot. Are you kidding me, kid? Really? The pot is mine until I give it to you. Why? I'm the dealer. It's my game. It's in the center of the table. It's mine until it's yours. Now, I'm not taking any of it. I'm not taking it home, but I control it. It's mine. You don't touch it. You don't throw chips, splash in the pot. You don't throw money into it. You don't. You control the game. You do what I say because I'm the dealer. I'm running the game. That's just how things are done. That's why I was good. I know he likes to rake pots, and so to get on his good side, I put the pot a little bit closer when he was in it to him. And he kind of looked at me a little bit because I know he likes raking his own pot. It's an ego thing, and it's a tactic he uses at the table. This is what he does. It's like, okay, it's mine. Boom, it's mine. It's boom. So he's crazy. He's looking at everybody and keeping control of the action and making sure that the dealer, is doing their job correctly because the World Series is speculative. And about 2 or 3 hands in, he realized, he looked at me, I looked at him, and he said, kind of gave me a little nod, like, okay, I don't have to worry about this kid anymore. This dealer knows his stuff. That was awesome. That was the best feeling. But how he can control the table, and he was doing things that no one was doing at the time. This was early, middle first day stuff, so it was pretty early still in the tournament. Tournaments usually go like 3 or 4 days, so first third of the tournament or whatever. And he was talking a lot and making people show their hands, and he didn't have to show his. And people were trying to get him on tilt, which that tilt is like getting someone to think emotionally instead of rationally. And if you can get him to think emotionally and not rationally, you can probably take all his money. He gets very upset, and he walks around and yells and cusses and screams and throws things and cries. Not just really cries, but whines. That's why he's a poker brat. And people try to do this. So if you know this, you try to do this to try to get an advantage, and then he was taking advantage of them. But he was doing things that no one was doing. He was open limping. Usually people open for a raise. If the first person in the pot means you're opening the pot. So usually when you're the first person in the pot, you want to raise. Because if you raise and everyone folds, you win what's in the pot. If you limp, that means you're going to be playing a hand. And he'll be doing this out of position, meaning there's going to be people behind him possibly. And he was doing this at a time where no one was. And it was amazing to do it with. And I don't know if he was balanced, meaning he was doing it with good hands and bad hands. But now there are strategies out there that people are having a balanced open limping range now. In 2017, he was doing this 8 years ago. Crazy stuff, just getting people on tilt, trying to get him on tilt, talking to people, controlling the whole table. The whole table was his. They were doing everything he wanted to do. He was saying one thing and they would do another thing, and he was controlling everybody, and they just wanted to be playing with Phil Hellmuth Jr. Like, oh, this is the best thing. They probably still talk about that to this day like I'm talking about it as a bystander. Phenomenal, though. Great experience. All in all, it was a lot of fun. I ended up taking first in a tournament employees tournament. We chopped the money. I took first. I got a jacket on it. That was fun. It's a good experience. But yeah, it'll be another time for another day, another story for why I left the industry. But I just want to get the story out there. And like, the World Series coming up, I think they're streaming it online. You can check up on it. I think WSoP.com. They might be on Twitch. I'm not quite sure if they're on Twitch yet. I know a lot of other pokers on Twitch. But yeah, check it out. Go to the live.com stuff. I don't know if it's live.com. WSoP.live. I don't know. Go there, figure it out. It's coming through. You can watch some of the events. Check it out on the ESPN. And as always, rate, review, subscribe, only if it's 5 stars, on iTunes. And yeah, at real J Recker. And see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.